Hello everyone, welcome to the most common mistakes that intermediate players make. And we continue to discuss the wrong way to train. And we're focusing on openings. In the last video, I told you that most players, they devote a lot of time to prepare their openings and build an opening repertoire instead of making the most important thing, and that is to deal with tactics every day, 20 minutes, and not the least in themes. But still, I do understand that you want to deal with your openings so that you do not have a bad position from the start, and so you feel a little bit safe in the very beginning at least, But then it is important to practice openings in the right way and to have a method on how to deal with it so that you actually understand what you're doing. Because this is the most common mistakes, I would say, when it comes to openings and players, and that is that they learn moves by heart, but without understanding why they play them. So, what is the method to recommend? First of all, what I say is that you should start backwards. You should start to look at end games arising from this opening, so that you understand what to look for and what to avoid. Then when you have understood that, you go to middle games. Okay, so what is a good middle game for me? What is a bad middle game? And then you can come back to the opening when you have your ideas of what to look for. What you could do is to collect role model games, both for white and black. So if black will get everything he wants in from the opening, what is the game then? If white wants the same, what should it look like then? So collect these role model games and understand why it is good for white and why it is good for black. Also collect positions when white is better, black is better, so that you understand the differences. I also recommend everyone to take notes of strategic ideas that are typical, where to put the pieces. Okay, my knight wants to be on e5, for example. The bishop normally wants to be in the fianchetto on g2 or something like that, so that you have an understanding of where to put the pieces. And then, of course, a very important thing is which pieces do I want to keep and which one to swap off. Most often, this can give you a plan when you play. And typical maneuvers, and not the least, what are the typical tactical ideas that will come with the opening. Now, when you have done this work, then you are ready to go for the moves and learn them by heart. So, if we, for example, go for the Stonewall, this is an opening that will give you a different pawn structure for white and black. You can see that what black has done is to put his pawns on d5 and e5, d5 and f5, and this means that black will have a good grip of the center, but on the other hand, you can see that there is a big hole on e5. So the black squares are normally the key of this position, and this is what white should go for to take control of them. What black will do is to try to get a grip, for example, on e4 with a knight, and then quite often black is going for an attack on the king's side, or try to swap off his bad bishop on c8. Okay, so if I should start to work with Stonewall, what I do is to start to look for the endgame. So this is like a dream position for white. White has got a strong knight on e5, and black is stuck with a bad bishop on e8. So we have identified what to look for with white and what to avoid with black. And then, okay, but what is happening if black will keep the bishop that is on the black squares? Well, now black is absolutely fine, no problems at all, because the white knight will not be as dominant as the black bishop will keep an eye on e5. Black has got no problems and maybe can even play for an advantage, maybe. So now we have identified that. Then we can move on, for example, to this type of position. And in this position, it is white to play. With this knowledge, now we're into the opening, but we start to move towards a middle game. So what moves to play here? At least there is one move that strikes my eye if I'm playing white, and that is to play bishop a3, because now with the knowledge of the endgame, you understand that if I can swap off this black bishop of black, then I have a good chance to reach my dream position when it comes to the endgame. So here you can see, by starting with the endgame, go back to the middle game, you can find the move also in the opening. And finally, with small tactical tricks, quite often they are supporting the strategic ideas. And in this position, if it is black to play, black could, for example, play knight bd7, but this would be like a mistake, actually. And the reason for that is that now white can take on d5. And what black would like to do is to take back with the e-pawn, like this. But now the problem is that with the knight on d7, now the pawn on f5 is hanging. So in this position, instead of playing knight bd7, it is much better to play bishop d6, because now, after c take d5, black can play e take d5 to cover up, because now the pawn on f5 is covered up by the bishop on c8. So this kind of knowledge, that there are these kind of small tactical tricks to look for that can support your strategic ideas, this is also something great to look for. Instead, for example, knight take bd5, bd7, if we look at that, c take d5, c take d5. The reason why this is a bad position for black is that now white, for example, can go for b3 and to play for bishop a3, swap off the bishop on f8, and then go for the c file. And with the knight on d7, then black will have more problems than white to get a grip on the queen side. So do not forget, always look for the swap off of c take d5, e take d5, and support the pawn on f5. So this is a little bit what it will be in practice. If you implement the right ideas of how to try to work with openings, go from the backwards to the middle game, from the end game to the middle game to the opening, learn the different maneuvers, ideas and tricks, and then you will be ready to learn the moves by heart. Bye.